Hi there and welcome to my 11 steps towards choosing change. Now for many of you that will seem like probably 9 steps too many, but trust me, when it comes to change, despite what we think, it doesn't happen overnight. When we're looking at the kind of change that I'm talking about here, we're really going to focus in on sustainable, long-lasting change. Now, the examples of what that change might be for you can range anything from career change, changing where you live. It could be about changing your health. It could be changing your attitude and how you are around money. It could be anything. It's literally, if there is something in your life, and for most of us there is, if there is something in your life that you would like to change, then I would recommend that you consider very seriously these 11 steps towards choosing change. Now, from the outset, I am going to just remind you that there are 2 types of change. There's the change that we select, which is the change we're probably going to talk about here. It's the change that we decide upon, we commit to, and that we make happen. But there is also the other kind of change, and that change is very much the change that happens for us. And it can, in a lot of cases, not necessarily be change that we want. It could be redundancy, bereavement, divorce, and that's a whole different set of possibilities around what change can mean to us. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to talk about 11 steps towards choosing change that you want. So the first of these that I'm going to suggest is that you get clarity on what change that you want. That you decide, this is the area in my life that needs change. So I want to focus on my health. I want to change my job. I want to get out of this relationship. I want to let go of that friendship. Those kind of questions. You really need to be clear as to what you want to change. It's not ever enough just to say, oh, I'm just so fed up with my life, I want to change it. No. You need to focus on something. What is that something you want to change? And so when you decide that, when you know what that is, you're at the starting point, and you always start where you're at. So the second point, moving along quickly, is to discover your why. I'm sorry, I have a dog here now that's running around behind me, so you will forgive me of that, and I'm not going to stop the video. The second one is discovering your why, and this is so crucial. This is the point of reference that you're going to keep returning to throughout the process of change. So it's really important that you get very, very clear and focused on why this change matters to you so much. When you start to waver and you meet small obstacles along the way, you're going to really need to keep referring back to why you wanted the change in the first place. So maybe focusing on the feelings, on what feeling you want to get to. So maybe if we take the example of health and we say to ourselves, I want to lose 2 stone weight in 6 months. You can see the dog there. I want to lose 2 stone weight in 6 months. So you know what you want to do, you've got your clarity there, and then you have to try and find out why. Not just for the obvious reasons, but for your health, because you're genuinely reaching a point in your life where you're concerned about your health, you're thinking about your health, and that's your why. You might have children and you want to make sure that you keep them in focus in terms of what can you see the dog here? But you will want to know you'll want to know why you're doing it. So it could be, as I said, for your kids, or it could be for reasons that are best known to yourself, but that's your why. Focus in on your why. The third thing that we need to talk about in the steps through change, or through choosing change, is when I'm working with clients, as I do on change all of the time, and inevitably within 10 minutes of a session, it'll come up, I want to change this, but I'm afraid of. So fear. Fear is such an integral part of change. We all have fears around change. Mostly they can be financial fears if it comes to changing career, and they can be being terrified or scared of people judging you, or laughing at you, or ridiculing you. So those fears are very real. But the third step is about getting us to a point where we observe our fears. So a lot of what I work with in my clients is not getting them to ignore their fears or to just say, park your fear there. It's getting them to just gently observe what the fear is. you need to observe your fears, you need to acknowledge them, and you need to let them be. And by doing this, you're removing some of the control that fears have over us. Because fear is the single biggest obstacle that stops us from change. So it's such an important one that we just can't afford to ignore it. And what we find a lot of the time is that the fears that are holding us back, they're manageable, and they will keep popping up. Sorry, that's the other important thing to say, that we manage a fear. We'll manage a fear of being judged or being ridiculed or being laughed at. We'll manage that once, and then a couple of weeks later, maybe a couple of months later, it'll come back up again. So it is a real point about managing your fears. Then similarly with our limiting beliefs, your limiting beliefs, and by the way, this is step number 4. Your limiting beliefs are the things that hold you back. The voice inside your head that says to you, you're not good enough. You're definitely not good enough. You're not worthy of this. You're not worthy of success, abundance, joy, whatever it is that you want. You're just not worthy. Honestly, this never happens. It's like the two of them know. I'm sorry, but anyway, look, it's just try and ignore her and focus on what I'm saying. So with regards to the limiting beliefs, what we want to do here is to reframe these limiting beliefs. We want to get ourselves from a point of being influenced and impacted by those limiting beliefs, by those voices that tell us that we're not good enough, that we're not worthy, that we don't deserve it. We just observe the language that we use, the language that we're using when we're talking to ourselves. People often say, the best way to observe the language that you use is to ask yourself, would you speak to your friend like that? And honestly, in most cases, the answer is no. So point number 4, step number 4 is reframing your limiting beliefs. And the way to do that is to ask yourself, are these true? Is it true that I'm not good enough? Is it true that I'm not able? Is it true that people will laugh at me, or I'm worried that people will laugh at me? Ask yourself honestly, are these limiting beliefs true? And in 9 out of 10, scientifically not proven, of course, but in the vast majority of cases, our limiting beliefs are not true. They're stories that we have told ourselves for so long that we just believe them. So what I want you to do in this step is to start reframing those thoughts. Start journaling it out, writing it out. Am I worthy? Am I good enough? Am I able to do this? And the answer is always going to be yes, yes, and yes. So just, be firm with yourself, be strong with yourself, and don't let those limiting beliefs take over, and certainly don't let them stop you towards change. So step number 5 is replacing your old thought with your new thought. So that limiting belief, that thought that we've now decided and now recognize is not true, we're going to replace that with something that is true. And that's, that thought that is true is what's going to give us the confidence and the know-how and the knowledge and the self-belief that we are worthy of this change. So it's such an important step. So replace your old thought and then express this thought, the new thought, over and over again. And again, this is where I would refer to journaling, to get you to a stage where you're in every journaling session that you write down some really positive affirmations like, I deserve this, I've earned this, I know this is my right, I know that I'm good enough for this, I know that I can do this. They sound very simple, and they, I don't need to even over trivialize them, but those affirmations can really start to change how we think. So that's continuing on with the process of reframing how we think and replacing the old thoughts with the new thoughts, which is step number 5. Number 6, believe. Believe that it is possible for you to change. By honouring your fears and by listening to your limiting beliefs, you've shown that you believe that you're capable of making this change. You know that you have the power inside you to do it. You just need to, I suppose, tap into the courage, tap away from the fear and into the courage. And you're literally changing how you think. You're changing the structure of your brain. You're changing the habits of your brain. It's not going to happen overnight, but if you believe that it's going to happen, trust me, it will. Number 7, you have these new thoughts now. You're journaling, you're spending every day affirming these positive new thoughts. You know that it is within your grasp to change, to embrace the change, to make the change. So what do you need to do next? Well, you need to integrate those thoughts into your belief system. You need to own them. You need to become one with them. Again, this will happen over time the more you focus on it. You're literally changing such old habits that are so deeply ingrained in you, but over time you'll start to feel differently about this change. You'll start to feel differently about how you felt before, and that'll show you that the progress and that the advances that you're making, and that will propel you further. So number 8, so number 7 was integrate. Number 8, and just, I do have to say at this stage, I'm aware that maybe I'm jumping a little and that this little creature hasn't helped here, but I'm being a bit stubborn, and I am not going to let her ruin this video on me. So the step number 8, and I will recap, don't worry, before we finish up. Step number 8 is to release and surrender the old patterns, so the old ways of doing things. So you've identified your fear, you've observed your fear, you've observed your limiting belief, you've reframed the old thought with a new thought, you've replaced the old thought with a new thought, you've integrated that new thought into your everyday habits, into your thinking, into your belief system. And so now the next step is to release and surrender the old thoughts, the old way of doing things. So if it is, say if it's a relationship that you're looking to leave, well then you just have to release that person and surrender that person and let them go. Let go of everything and everyone that does not serve you. Make space, make room for the change to come into your life. And it is only by making space and making room that we can allow ourselves and give ourselves permission to welcome in change. Number 9. We're not that far off the end. Number 9 is to, now that you've surrendered, now that you've let go, you need to take inspired action. So you've prepared yourself emotionally, mentally for this change. You've put in all the groundwork that needed to be done, and now it's time to take inspired action. So you've to do, and I can't overemphasize this point, but you have to do what feels right. You have to trust that you are being led, because you are being led. You are co-creating your future. You show up, you take the inspired action, and you are led. Discover what feels good to you to do and do it. Discover what you want to change and change. Discover that it is perfectly okay and not even just it's okay, it is imperative that we should always do what we want to do, what feels right for us to do, what feels, that lights us up inside. That is what we should do, not what is expected of us. I recognize as I say that's not always possible for everyone, or that people will feel it's not always possible for them, but I believe it is. I believe if you really want something, if you really want to make something happen, if you really want to change something, then you and you alone have the power. So trust that you're being led. Trust that if it feels good inside, that's all you need to know. And then number 10, our penultimate step, is the very obvious allow yourself to receive. Give yourself permission to receive what it is that you need to receive to make the change. Give yourself permission to allow yourself to receive and welcome that change into your life. The change that you want is now yours. And that sounds cheesy, but if you've been following all of these steps, you're now at a point where you're ready and you know, you're in no better position than right now to receive what it is you need to receive. What could be the last possible step of change? What's the last thing that we would think of when we think of making a change? It's to be grateful. Give gratitude. Even before you get the change, you make the change, or the change that you want is yours. Even before that happens, feel gratitude for the change. Feel gratitude for the knowledge that it is yours. It's on its way. And you're so grateful for this. And, you know, we all have heard, and we know that it's true, that by expressing gratitude, we're opening ourselves up to lots more of the same to come into our lives. And it's an energy thing. It's a raising of our vibrations. But by feeling gratitude, by believing that what we want to change is on its way to us, it is just putting the seal on it. It's guaranteeing that it's going to happen. So that as such is the summary of my 11 quick steps. And obviously, you know, over the course of the next couple of months, I'll go into each step in a lot more detail. But because of our interruption, and I genuinely can't believe that both the dog and the cat decided that they wanted in on the action, I'm just going to recap very quickly on the 11 points. Number one, get clarity on what you want to change. Number two, discover your why. Really important. Number three, observe your fears. Number four, similarly, identify your limiting beliefs. Number five, replace the old thought, the thought that's been holding you back. Replace that thought with a brand new positive thought. Number six, believe that it is entirely possible for you to change, because it is. Number seven, integrate the change into your life, into your belief system. Act as if you already have made the change. Act as if that new positive thought is part of how you live out your life. Number eight, release and surrender and let go. Number nine, take inspired action. So be led. You know, change. We need to meet change halfway. There are things and steps we will need to carry out to make the change happen. So that's your inspired action. So trust that you're being led, trust that you are taking the right action and follow through in it. Number 10, receive. Give yourself permission to allow for this change to come into your life. And number 11, give gratitude. Always be grateful and always express that gratitude, because sometimes we forget. Sometimes we're so busy asking that we don't remember to say thank you when we get it. So there are 11 steps. The more you do this, the more you carry out these 11 steps, the quicker that process will become. And then, you know, throughout the process of change, you're going to have little stumbling blocks. You're going to have resistance. You're going to have things that'll stop you along the way. And so my advice is to keep going back to these 11 steps. And, you know, when you do them the first time, it'll feel like they'll take forever. But honestly, trust me that really as you do them, as you carry out this practice more and more, it becomes second nature to you. Now, this process, these 11 steps are... They can be applied to any kind of change, as I said, whether it's mindset, whether it's money mindset, whether it's relationships, whether it's careers. These 11 steps you can use for anything. The truth is, and if you believe this, well then I have no doubt but you're going to succeed in change. But the truth is that we can truly have anything that we want. So if you believe that, and I hope you do, and the dog has arrived just to say goodbye at the very end, but if you believe this, if you really in your inner heart and soul and spirit believe that you can have anything you want, well then you will get anything that you want, provided it's for your greater good or for the good of others. So there's massive power in deciding that you want change. There's massive power inside each of us. So use yours wisely. Choose change. So thank you for sitting through this video. Thank you for sitting through the cat and the dog coming in and out of the video. As I said, over the course of the coming weeks and months, I'm going to focus in on each of those 11 points in more detail. If there are any other items, if there's any point of those 11 steps that you'd like to know more about or that you have questions around, please don't hesitate to get in touch. So this is the Change Coach, Niamh Ennis at www.niamhennis.com. Signing off for now, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.